close friends. We're
Yeah.
all diehard Padre fans. But if we sign a prospect for the Dodgers and we have shares, in that athlete, and the Dodgers are playing the Padres, I'm rooting
Yeah.
for my prospect over my diehard
Yeah.
favorite team. And when you start looking at those type of things, you realize that we may be onto something really exciting here. We feel it, we see it. We talk to people that are signing up. They're like, we can't believe this is possible. This is so cool. It's validating a lot of what we've been working on for the
Well,
past 2 years.
at some point, it seems like let's think about, there's a whole thing now called red zone specifically for fantasy football. So, that is just showing your player scoring the touchdown, right? And that's
Yeah,
being pumped into bars. So you got to imagine, again, this thing being mature, or where this path is going, even if it's on this sort of trajectory. Yeah,
mhm.
you know what? I'm looking for my player wherever he is, because man, I need him to have
Yeah,
a good day. I
yeah,
need it. I need that stock to rise, right? I need a good month.
yeah,
I need to know if he's on a cold streak, right? Man,
yeah,
he lost. He can't hit the curve.
yeah.
Major league, he can't hit the curve anymore. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
you know.
I know it. Or like he's coming up on
Yeah,
free agency, right? This is a free agency year. What is he going to sign for? Is he going to get a big contract, small? How's his year looking? Is he going to get hurt? There's so many variables that are just going to be the most interesting aspect of our company. I
yeah, it's
can't, I
exciting.
can't wait.
Who's the God, what's the big agent that signs everybody in baseball? Yeah, Scott Boras.
Scott Boras.
My guy signed with Scott Boras. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like he got to Scott Boras.
yeah,
Holy cow! Let's
yeah.
do this. Yeah.
He's in hot
Oh
water
man,
right now. He's in
I'm
trouble right
not.
now.
See, I'm
But
not.
it's kind of
See,
funny you brought
I
it
would
up.
pay attention more. Like I'm just like, Scott Boras, is that him? But no, you start to pay attention
Yeah,
a lot more if you were, had some money on the line.
yeah. Just on that topic, he's got like 3 of the 5 top prospects right now, and no teams are signing them because there's a talk that maybe these MLB teams are boycotting Scott Boras clients. So they got like Blake Snell. Week starts in a couple weeks. He's the best pitcher, won the Cy Young last year, and
Yeah,
he's not even on a
yeah, yeah,
team right
yeah.
now. Off
That's
topic,
that's
but
wild.
that's just a little
That's
bit of
wild.
baseball talk for
So let's walk back a little bit. Just like, how have you approached,
Okay.
building your team, putting people under you, just kind of,
Yeah.
getting, finding weaknesses and strengths. Again, a lot of our listeners are startup founders who are trying to grow their
Yeah.
widget, right? So how are you kind of approaching team members and
Yeah.
finding quality and
Yeah.
having people get behind your mission?
Yeah. So we hire only the best of the best. And it's easy to say that, but let me give you a great example. So when we started, I knew that we were going to need help on the contract side because we wanted to make sure that, our contract would hold up. So what did we do? I hired the CFO from that company, that private hedge fund that does these deals. So we hired a person who's probably done over 100 of these, private
Yeah,
equity deals with athletes. Now we have him on our team. So then I said, okay, we're going to need to have a security attorney. Like, who's the best? Like, who's done things similar to this? So we looked at
hmm
Masterworks, who's in a very similar space as us. Instead of doing athletes,
yep,
they're investing in art. So I looked at their
yep,
lawyer, Laura Anthony. She's a top security lawyer in the country.
hmm
Hired her. And then I wanted to build out my team, and I found this Max Eisenberg, who's our chief information officer, built a very successful company called Action Streamer. So he's our chief of staff on our team, and then Comcast and all of our investors, Tim Draper through the Draper Startup House, they all work with us and connect with people that could be beneficial to us, and it's been just relying on everybody around us to hire the best possible people for
yeah,
the most
yeah. No,
important
it's
roles.
it's super super critical when you're kind of putting this foundation
Yeah,
structure together to just get people that understand it, are going to be bought in. Um, you know,
yeah.
where are the things though that you think that, hey, if we're going to grow here, what are like milestones that you want to hit? Like, what's a metric in your mind that, like, hey, if we hit this, this triggers kind of the next thing for us?
Yeah. So we want to sell out a Sheddery Vargas, our prospect,
Okay.
by July 1st.
Mhm.
Like complete sold out. And then have our next player in the queue, and then that will set us up for our first our next round, which would be our seed round, which would then allow us to really expand heavily and really put
Mm.
gas on the fire. So selling out, Sheddery Vargas, by July 1st
Gotcha.
is our
Yeah,
goal.
yeah. It does seem like it could really snowball once you get that first one under the, and then maybe a second, and then you start to really see this kind of coming together.
Yeah.
How do you kind of think about in sort of an investor community in this? Do you see, the more that you're building up investors who are looking for certain athletes, or do you see it being somewhat in different verticals of like sports, like these are basketball investors, or do you think it'll just be, hey, they're looking for athletes, or they're just into this type of idea? What do you kind of envision that community looking like?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
learning right now. It's I believe it's going to start with sophisticated investors that may play in the
Hmm.
alternative space, and then as that starts to grow, I think it's going to become more heavily focused
Yeah.
with sports fans. I think once we're like in this weird educational period where a majority of your listeners watching this podcast probably never even knew that these athletes were signing these deals,
Yeah.
for their future earnings, right? So letting people know that these deals are happening
Hmm.
like all the time, and that this is how they work, and they hold up in court and look at these court cases that these were challenged, and every single time these contracts have been held up, and giving them confidence that there is a potential for a return. I think that's when we'll really see a lot of
Yeah.
sports fans getting
Yeah.
involved.
No, I agree with you. I think it's funny, even on the education, as much as I dove in preparing for this, I didn't know this hedge fund component. I honestly was just kind of like, this is interesting and weird. I had like, where did this come from? I
Yeah.
don't know. Like, I never thought about it. So I do see the more that you're talking about this that lift of
Yeah.
education. Because I think once you get into it, it's it's probably a slope. It's like a lot of work to educate, but once then they just get it right. Probably like I feel like, especially if you've got
Yeah.
some knowledge of sports, some knowledge of contracts, some knowledge of you just had ESPN on your ticker your whole life, and you're like X person signs for
Mhm.
a free agency that just happened in NFL. Every contract, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
How much has
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins made? Oh my
Oh
gosh, how
my
much more
gosh.
money can this guy make? And not
Yeah.
even really anything. So,
Yeah.
but just like you, so you just, I guess it's just
Yeah.
like you have that. You're going to probably benefit a little bit around having that. People just know that there's big contracts, in this sports, right? They just know that. So
Yeah.
that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so talk to a little bit about maybe what's the next year look like? How does this year play out? And then maybe what's your next 5 years you think playing out?
Yeah, and this year, we plan on having 5 athletes
Cool.
on our platform. That's our big goal. I want 5 really good, top tier, exciting prospects on Finlete. We want to finish our, like I said, that seed round that we're going to raise in July. We want to have that fully funded, and then immediately start working on that
Yeah.
alternative trading system while bringing on more athletes. The 5-year plan, we want to have over 200 athletes on our platform, if not more. And then we want to have over 3 million fan investors on our platform, actively looking at deals and deciding on if they want to participate on specific deals with a NASCAR driver or a jockey or a baseball player or a hockey player or a rugby player or a sailing team in New Zealand. Having all these different opportunities available,
Yeah,
we think
that's
is
awesome.
really exciting.
Where can people kind of learn more? How do they dive into your world? Obviously, we'll put some links on here, but where can people just figure
Yeah.
out what you guys are
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah, so finlete.com is really the spot. And that's our homepage. And we are showcasing our current offering on there, which everybody on here can check out. It's super low level of entry. You don't have to
Mhm.
be an accredited investor, and you can check it out and look at our prospect and do some due diligence and keep
Awesome.
track of us
Awesome.
there.
Well,
Yeah.
Rob, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. This has been, like I said, one of the most exciting things I've actually experienced in Reg CF in my last 8, 9, 10 years of doing this. I will definitely be
Yeah.
monitoring this and watching from afar because I think it's huge, huge potential. And again, I appreciate you taking time out of your day.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.